star's hit song Invincible, rated PG-13.
Fresh in the Flesh Tattoo, Hip Pantry, River Monster Comics, Perfect Spot Tattoo, and our new sponsor, Humble Reaper. All proud sponsors of the Movie Dawgs.
And welcome to the Movie Dawgs Show. This is our first We Are the 80s special. We're going to be doing a mini episodes of movies based on the 1980s, folks. And this is the first one that we're going to be doing tonight. And tonight, for episode 40, we are going to be talking about The Legend of Billie Jean. Remember, we are the 80s, folks. This is the Movie Dawgs. This is the Movie Dawgs Show. Let's get to it, folks. All right, folks. We're going to be talking about The Legend of Billie Jean. It was originally titled Fair is Fair, but I guess, this sounded a lot better. Either title sounded better. Directed by Matthew Robbins. It had a lot to do with, a lot to do with the precursor of media and how it started really in the 80s, starting to get out of control like it is now. Of course, we add on to social media, and it was kind of I guess you would say not a spoof, but a take on how the media takes things out of proportions, and anybody with a reasonable voice, if not, delusional mind, will stick themselves in front of a camera and a microphone and spread lies that will be taken as truth, and and it's like a wildfire in a very dry season and out in the woods in the brush, and it'll go crazy. This movie was released in 1985. I'm hoping I'm getting my years right, but anyway. It starred Helen Slater, who was just off of Supergirl, and also starred a very young Christian Slater. And by the way, there is no relations between the both of them. They just happen to have the same name. This was filmed out in Corpus Christi, Texas, which also a lot of the shooting locations were, and it was based in this. And it really captured what a lot of the youth at the time that were a little I wouldn't say undesirable, but unprivileged. They were kind of looked down upon, and if anybody's got a little bit of money and maybe an adult, their word is power. And of course, this is what happens to them. Also co-starred Peter Coyote, who was a very, you ask me, I hope never gets forgotten. He was a very great actor at the time, and you may remember him from he played the character Keys from E.T. He plays a police detective in this film, and so what really happens is that Billie Jean and her brother goes out on a very hot summer day, and they decide to go swimming in a pond, and on the way they get bullied by the high school bully that has been trying to impress Billie Jean or something in some fashion. Of course, we all know they're those type of people. They got their mindset or eyes hooked on a girl. They want to be bullies and assholes. But of course, they get into an altercation, and then they meet up with them there at the pond, and they steal Christian Slater's character scooter, which he cherishes very much because it's something he got from an insurance policy payout that from his father's death, and he sees that as a only connection left to his father, and so he tries to get it, gets beat up, and then Billie Jean and her brother take and their friends, who also one of her friends is actually Yeardley Smith, who would go on to become Lisa Simpson on the show The Simpsons, which by the way she steals the scenes a lot in this film. But she tries to go off and get the money from the source from the bully's dad, and then he talks her to coming up into her room, and he tries to assault her. And of course, like every strong woman with a mind, she wasn't having it. So, and then she tries to get herself downstairs in the shop, and Christian Slater picks up the gun that was in the register, and he accidentally shoots the father in the arm. But and then of course everything kind of gets blown out of proportion. He starts going off to the media and starting to basically sell merchandise of her. They become fugitives. Billie Jean and her friends and her brother, they all become a fugitive, and it just starts blowing her way out of proportion. And of course, they had to find a place to hide, and they found a house they thought was abandoned, a mansion, and then all of a sudden, if you're a big '80s fan, movie buff, Keith Gordon was in this film. He played a very older-looking high school student, but of course, a lot of people who were over the age of 20, were playing high school students if they were lucky enough. But they, strike a quick bond, and he decides he wants to run with him. I don't want to give too much of the plots or anything like that, but while they were watching on TV, there was a movie about Joan of Arc, and Billie Jean started seeing the similarities and the parallels. And the whole time and everything that Peter Coyote's character is trying to, make sense of things, realize that I should have listened to her when they first came by and tried to report the bike stolen. He kind of brushed them off at first, but then he realizes that, his mistake has led to more bad decisions being made. And so he's trying to rectify it. And because of the movie, Billie Jean decides, well, we're going to make a tape, and we're going to state our case to the media. If they're going to be using the media against us, we're going to turn that sword around and point it at them. Which was, she cuts all her long locks of hair. Helen Slater was a very beautiful woman, still is, and she cut it off really short, kind of like what Pat Benatar's hairstyle. Those who know who Pat Benatar is, she wore really short hair, and she looked good doing it. So, and of course, she struck up more mass media, and then she started becoming this legend, and she became, girls are getting their hairstyle done after them, and again, it's it's kind of like how the influencers on social media are now done, but this was done very heroic, and it gave a lot of empowering to and in the right way too. It balanced everything out. It shows who's the bad guys, who's the good guys in this, and who's the victim. But yet at the end, she refuses to be a victim because she believes what she says in her statement to the video to the press: fair is fair. And all they wanted was the money to fix the bike. That's all they wanted, and it's all they could have done too. But again, there was so many great moments in this film. It's a great little gem. I recommend people to really catch this movie out, because I don't really want to give out too much and everything, but there's a really good scene where Billie Jean's influence she really puts it to good use, not overhyped in the media, or she starts believing her own hype. She is approached by some young kids who are trying to help their friends who is being abused by his father. And of course, she goes there and confronts the father. And again, you find out, again, the power of media done right. And that's what this film really gives out. And I'm really, really, I was always impressed. I introduced this a few months ago to my daughter, this movie, and she absolutely loves this movie. She absolutely adores it. She likes to watch it all the time. Matter of fact, before I even done this episode, have had to watch this movie 4 times before I've actually filmed this day. But again, I mean, I can't give much about the director. I don't know how much more he had done after this. It was, I would say, fair profit for a small film, but it didn't really, it got most of its popularity and its uh, watched through VHS and of course, on cable. Um, I know in 2011 it was available by Mills Creek Entertainment, and then before that, Sony Entertainment, because it's out of print. But Sony Entertainment, you have to order through their online services to get a copy made for you. But I do recommend people to go look this movie up, whether it's on social or any type of streaming service, or go find it on a physical copy. I was lucked out a year ago and found this at a thrift store, and I bought it right away because I absolutely adore this film. Before that, I had not seen this movie in almost 20 something years, and it's one of those fun movies. I saw it in theaters in my hometown, and I watched it. Absolutely loved it. The mall chase was, wasn't too bombastic, but it was funny, and it was a little action packed, and it's got a little bit of its action here and there, but it's again, it settles. It's a good mixture of drama, a little bit of comedy, some action, some a little bit of a suspense here and there, and but also I have to say, also if you're also 80 fans, again, Dean Stockwell shows up. He's the Keith Gordon's father. Um, he has a good presence, not a big part, but he's got a really good presence. I cannot remember the name of the father, Dewey's father, the head protagonist in the film, or antagonist, but he did a really marvelous job and everything to be a sleazy dick. And of course, at the end of the film, you find out how everybody realizes that they were basically, um, you know, helping the source of the problem. And a lot of people, at the end, you got to watch it and everything. It's real poignant and it makes its point. But there was a really good scene and everything where Billie Jean was about to, head on out at the end, and run. And Detective Piano Coyote, is just standing there kind of looking at her, with a smirk face and everything. Because, he was a little bit smitten with her and everything because she's a very beautiful girl. But he knew, that she was also a very powerful woman, and he appreciated that. And just kind of gave a smirk and everything. And she, goes off. But I do have to say that, it's worth looking up and it's worth checking out. This movie is such a good movie. And Helen Slater, I think, did one or two more movies after this that I can remember that were high profile. City Slickers was later on in the 90s, but Secret of My Success with Michael J. Fox was, I think, the next film that came out after this. As a matter of fact, they dated for a short time. But again, I highly recommend it. It's a great cast. It's a great rounded ensemble. And Helen Slater, I mean, it was her second film, I believe. But, she was able to hold her own. And she was able to, really give a good innocence and yet a strong woman vibe at the same time. So, again, folks, check it out. The Legend of Billie Jean. Check it out. I mean, order it online, on streaming. Order it through the Sony website. Get a hard copy. Just check it out, because if you get the hard copy, you also get an audio commentary with Helen Slater and Yeardley Smith, and it's a really good commentary as well. So highly recommended. Again, folks, do check it out. I'm going to give it my 5 paws. That's for my 80s review, folks. And I do hope you guys check out more. I'm going to be doing maybe at least 4 or 5 back to back, and then I'll probably take a break here and there between the 80s reviews. I don't know yet. But again, folks, I thank you all for watching. I also want to thank my sponsors. My new sponsor, Humble Reaper. Check them out on the web. River Monster Comics, as always, in Denellen, Florida. Thank you guys for sponsoring. The Perfect Spot Tattoos, and In the Flesh Tattoos, and Hemp Pantry in Inverness. You guys, thank you so much for sponsoring this channel. And folks, check them out. You go to my and now a word from our sponsors playlist. You'll see all the commercials off of that playlist. And do check out physical media format. This is its last season. I highly recommend you do that. That's kind of part of the 80s theme as well, folks. But again, check it out. The Legend of Billie Jean. I said I don't want to give out too much of it, but I really recommend you guys check this film out and really just, sit back and enjoy it. It's a good film, just real good, and it's got a good message too. You don't get that much nowadays, but it's got a really good message, and do check it out. All right, folks, that's it for the Movie Dawgs Show, episode 40. Wow, I'm surprised I even made it episode 10. But, all right, folks, again, we're also on Spotify. I got a couple episodes on Spotify that are just exclusive to Spotify. Check those out as well. All right, that's the Movie Dawgs Show. Thanks for watching, and please keep on watching, folks. Bye.